What happens when a company fires hundreds of developers, replaces them with AI, and 6 months later quietly starts rehiring the same people they let go? Over 54,000 American tech workers lost their jobs to artificial intelligence last year. Companies like Microsoft, IBM, Salesforce, and Meta replaced engineers with AI coding tools, promising explosive productivity. Executives saw GitHub Copilot writing up to 61% of code and thought they'd found the ultimate solution. By early 2026, the consequences are undeniable. Technical debt is exploding, products are failing, and 95% of firms haven't seen measurable returns. Some are quietly rehiring developers they fired. This isn't innovation, it's corporate self-destruction. Here are the biggest reasons why. Reason number 7, AI creates mountains of technical debt. When Microsoft laid off 6,500 employees in 2025, CEO Satya Nadella announced that GitHub Copilot was writing 30% of new code, reducing the need for support teams. What he didn't mention was what security researchers discovered next. A November 2025 report from Ox Security found that AI-generated code is highly functional, but systematically lacking in architectural judgment. The code works in the short term, but creates maintenance nightmares that compound over time. Forrester predicted that by 2025, more than 50% of technology decision-makers would face moderate to severe technical debt. By 2026, that number is expected to hit 75%. The reason is simple: AI tools generate code quickly, but the outputs lack consistency and context. Developers using these tools produce what looks like progress, more commits, more lines of code, faster feature velocity, while burying their companies under technical debt that will take years and millions of dollars to fix. GitClear's analysis revealed that AI-generated code creates massive amounts of duplicated code, meaning bugs must be fixed in multiple locations, and updates require changes across numerous code blocks. The CEO of GitClear warned that if developer productivity continues being measured by commit count or lines added, AI-driven maintainability decay will proliferate. Companies are optimizing for the wrong metrics, measuring AI adoption rates while ignoring the technical debt time bomb ticking underneath their code bases. One analysis found that 40% of firms lose at least $1 million annually due to malfunctioning or miscoded software, with losses exceeding $5 million in nearly half of large US companies. AI-generated technical debt compounds even faster because it's often invisible to the teams that created it. Developers don't recognize that AI-generated code is suboptimal until they attempt to modify or extend it, by which point the cost of remediation may exceed the cost of complete rewriting. Reason number 6, the best developers are leaving. When companies fire developers and replace them with AI, they send a clear message to everyone who remains. Your expertise doesn't matter, and your job security depends on whether an algorithm gets slightly better next quarter. The best developers don't stick around for that conversation. They leave for companies that value human expertise. This brain drain is invisible at first because it doesn't show up in quarterly metrics. But a year later, when companies need to pivot their product strategy or respond to competitor innovation, they realize they've gutted their capacity for complex technical decision-making. The institutional knowledge is gone. The creative problem-solving is gone. The deep expertise that made their products competitive is gone. Fiverr laid off 250 workers, 30% of its workforce, as CEO Mika Kaufman declared an AI-first operation with fewer management layers. Accenture cut 11,000 employees between May and November 2025 while training 70,000 remaining employees in AI. If you didn't fit their AI future, you were out. The problem isn't just losing developers, it's losing the right developers. Senior engineers who understand system architecture, who know which technical debt is intentional, who remember past failures that shaped current patterns, and who can make judgment calls under uncertainty. These are the people companies are hemorrhaging, and they're taking their expertise to competitors who understand that AI augments developers rather than replaces them. Reason number 5, I cannot make architectural decisions. Writing code is the easiest part of software development. The hard part is understanding what to build, knowing which trade-offs to make, recognizing when a quick fix will cause problems 6 months down the line, and making architectural decisions that balance performance, maintainability, scalability, and cost. AI tools excel at pattern recognition and automating structured tasks, but they lack the human qualities essential for software engineering. Interpreting complex requirements, making judgment calls under uncertainty, and responding to evolving contexts are deeply human capabilities. Senior engineers now operate across the entire business, manage relationships, and make decisions that affect multiple teams. Here's what AI lacks that experienced developers provide: historical context about why code evolved in certain ways, knowledge of undocumented business rules buried in code, understanding of which technical debt is intentional, awareness of political reasons behind technical decisions, and memory of past failures that shaped current patterns. Developers see patterns across unrelated systems and predict how changes cascade through architectures. They know when a simple feature request will break 3 other services, or when a bug is actually a symptom of a deeper design flaw. It can't know that your architecture has hidden dependencies or that your client has undocumented expectations. The Ox Security Report stated that while AI excels at implementation, human creativity remains irreplaceable for breakthrough innovation. Developing innovative, intuitive, and user-centered solutions demands imagination and empathy, skills that no algorithm can replicate. Companies that fired their senior architects discovered this the hard way when their systems couldn't scale, their products couldn't evolve, and their technical foundations crumbled under real-world pressure. Reason number 4, debugging AI code takes longer than writing it from scratch. The Harness State of Software Delivery 2025 report found that the majority of developers now spend more time debugging generated code and resolving security vulnerabilities than they did with manually written code. This destroys the entire productivity promise that justified the layoffs in the first place. When companies cut their development teams and asked remaining engineers to work with AI tools, productivity metrics initially spiked. More code was written, more features were shipped, executives congratulated themselves. Then the AI-generated code started breaking in production, not immediately, but in subtle, insidious ways that are harder to diagnose and fix. AI models generate code based on patterns they've learned, but they produce solutions that vary wildly in quality. Common problems include logical bugs that allow code to run, but produce incorrect results, code, duplication, inconsistent coding styles, and performance issues. These quality issues directly affect the maintenance, development, and use of software. Development teams spending increasing amounts of time debugging and maintaining AI-generated code have less time available for innovation, feature development, or strategic technical improvements. These are opportunity costs, and the value of alternatives foregone due to resource allocation decisions. Companies appear more productive in the short term while accumulating massive long-term liabilities. Bill Harding, CEO of GitClear, identified 3 main vectors that generate AI technical debt: model versioning chaos caused by rapid evolution of code assistant products, code generation bloat from verbose and inconsistent output, and organizational fragmentation from independent groups using different models and approaches. These vectors interact together, causing exponential growth in technical debt that becomes impossible to manage. Reason number 3, companies are quietly rehiring the developers they fired. Around 95% of firms have yet to see measurable returns from AI, leading to rehiring trends. Visier data shows about 5.3% of laid-off workers have returned to their former employers, marking a steady but rising trend. This quiet reversal reveals the uncomfortable truth: the AI replacement strategy failed, and companies need human expertise to clean up the mess. The most publicized example is Klarna, the Swedish fintech company that replaced 700 employees with AI. The company initially celebrated the cost savings and efficiency gains. Then customer service failures started piling up. Complaints flooded in. The company's reputation suffered. Klarna is now actively rebuilding its human support teams, recognizing the value real people bring to customer interactions. The reversal shows a clear change in priorities, from purely chasing AI-driven efficiency to restoring trust, service quality, and brand reputation. The Klarna story isn't just about one company's failed experiment. It's about how tech companies around the world are learning what AI can and can't do. Automation may be the future, but the present still needs a human touch. Companies that sacked workers with AI are now scrambling to rehire as automation fails to deliver on its promises. These rehiring efforts are expensive and embarrassing. Companies must offer premium compensation packages to attract back the talent they discarded. Many of the best developers have moved on to competitors and have no interest in returning. The institutional knowledge that walked out the door cannot be easily recovered, and the damage to company reputation as an employer makes future recruiting significantly harder. Reason number 2, AI lacks ethical judgment and accountability. Developers make value judgments about what to build and what to refuse. They push back on features that could harm users, consider the societal impact of their code, and take responsibility when things go wrong. AI will optimize for whatever metric you give it, even if that means creating addictive features that harm users or biased algorithms that discriminate. And when the code causes damage, you can't hold AI accountable. There's no one to take responsibility when an AI-generated payment system fails, when a security vulnerability exposes customer data, or when a poorly architected feature crashes in production. This matters more than executives realize. Software development isn't just a technical exercise. It's about understanding user needs, protecting customer privacy, ensuring accessibility, considering security implications, and making decisions that align with company values and legal requirements. AI tools can't evaluate whether a feature request is ethical, whether data collection practices comply with GDPR, or whether an algorithm might have discriminatory impacts. When Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff revealed that AI now completes between 30% and 50% of the company's workload, he framed it as efficiency. What he didn't discuss was who makes the judgment calls about what that AI-generated code should do, how it should handle edge cases, or what happens when it makes mistakes. The company laid off more than 4,000 people in 2025 while expanding AI use, betting that automation could replace human judgment. The long-term consequences of that bet are still unfolding. Reason number 1, the math doesn't work. The entire premise of firing developers to save money collapses when you run the actual numbers. Yes, GitHub Copilot has 1.3 million paid subscribers, and GitHub's revenue jumped 40% year over year, primarily due to Copilot adoption. Yes, developers using Copilot completed tasks 55% faster in controlled tests. But those productivity gains assume you still have experienced developers using AI as an assistant, not a replacement. When companies actually replaced developers with AI, development velocity didn't increase. In many cases, it decreased dramatically. Product quality suffered, technical debt exploded, customer satisfaction dropped, and the cost of fixing the mess exceeded the savings from layoffs. IBM laid off around 8,000 employees, mainly from HR, replacing them with an internal AI chatbot called Ask HR. The company said it was hiring software engineers and data analysts instead, effectively acknowledging that I could handle routine tasks, but not complex technical work. Meta laid off nearly 4,000 people, saying the company wanted to move out low performers and shift focus to hiring machine learning engineers. These weren't success stories about AI replacing humans. They were restructuring efforts that recognized the irreplaceable value of human expertise in the right roles. Amazon cut 14,000 corporate jobs in 2025, stating it needed to reduce layers of management and operate with a leaner structure. But Amazon didn't replace engineers with AI. It reduced management overhead while continuing to invest heavily in engineering talent for AI development. The distinction matters. The companies getting it right are using AI to make their existing developers more productive, not to eliminate them. They're automating boring tasks like boilerplate code, documentation generation, and simple bug fixes. They're letting developers focus on complex, creative work that requires human intelligence. These companies are growing faster, shipping better products, and attracting better talent because developers want to work where AI is viewed as a superpower, not a replacement. The lesson from 2025 is clear. Firing developers to replace them with AI isn't innovation. It's a costly mistake that creates technical debt, drives away top talent, and ultimately requires expensive rehiring efforts to fix. AI tools are powerful assistants that can make developers more productive, but they cannot replace human judgment, architectural expertise, ethical decision-making, or creative problem-solving. If you found this investigation valuable, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into tech industry trends. Drop a comment with your thoughts on AI and software development, and share this with anyone considering replacing their engineering team with algorithms. The future of software isn't human versus AI. It's humans and AI working together.